my favorite topics is leadership, and it occurred to me that I haven't talked about different leadership styles. Now, I'm not going to go over all 8. What I would really like to do is address this to you if you're a leader, to see if you know what type of leadership style you have, if you're combining a couple, and then also if that's what you want to do for the situation at hand. They often say that when we're talking to someone, you want to change the way you're speaking depending on the other person, not to change who you are, but if I'm talking to a person who likes data more, I'm going to go less with feelings, what I'm pitching to them, for example, and more with data. And if someone likes, feeling good about the product, then I would go more with feelings. I mean, ideally, does anyone do this perfectly? Absolutely not. But it's the same sort of idea, because in leadership, there are times for probably every leadership style. I don't know. There are a couple I'm less fond of, but could that be my personal bias, right? So there is a time for autocratic leadership style, for example, and that is when something is happening at the company, a pivot needs to be made, a decision needs to be made. You want a leader who makes that decision, tells everyone what to do, go do it. That can be really important. Now, do you want to live like that all the time? So one of the things I would ask you to reflect on is, if it's your style that you tell people what to do, is it serving you right now? So as an example, because I know a lot of leaders who have had tough times. I mean, we've all had tough times in different industries, and it's been so wonderful. And then it comes to the day-to-day, and what they do is actually do the autocratic leadership style, the authoritarian style, but couch it by going, I want you to do this. Are you good with that? As if they've given you a choice, but really you don't feel good about answering. You don't feel like you're safe to answer. You know what the leader wants to hear, and so less likely to go against it. So it is a pretty easy place to fool yourself, to be unaware of your own behavior. Like, I ask them to speak up, I ask them questions, and they don't answer. If people are not answering you, then you probably have an autocratic leadership style, and you're not really aware of it. So one of the things to do to define it, to see if this is the case, is to record one of your group meetings, your department meetings, and find out, when you ask people to say something, do people talk up? What do they say? Is it usually just an agreement? That is probably a sign you have autocratic. And again, there's nothing wrong with autocratic. But if you legitimately want people to express their own opinions, you want to get feedback from them for brainstorming, for new ideas, for whatever, then asking them but not setting them up to be able to do that is actually hurting you. So something that you can do then is work on some other styles. And since I don't want to put that one down in any way, I'm going to talk about some of the others that have risks. One of them is coaching style. I remember having a manager of a site. She had a couple of sites under her, and she very much had the coaching leadership style, which sounds like such a great thing, right? We want to coach people up to be their best. The problem is that her team wasn't meeting any of their goals. Well, they felt really good about working there, but they weren't meeting their goals, so it wasn't serving what the company needed. And her coaching style then did not work out for the situation she was in. If her team was meeting 80% of their goals, it would not have been an issue. So also be aware of that. If you're more concerned that people like you, feel connected to you, that you're their friends, and they're not meeting their goals, then you also have a disconnect. So you can see that you have to figure out what you're really working on, and you really are being paid by the company to help the company reach its goals. I mean, they trusted you to be able to do that. A very common one is the democratic leadership style. It's very hard to find a problem with this because we live in a democracy. So I think that we very much believe in a democratic style. I did at one point have someone say to me, who I reported to, that I was too democratic in my approach. I actually was able to reframe that. in democratic leadership style, you are valuing other people's opinions, their thoughts, their insights, and you're asking them for them. I do 100% value what everyone has to say. But a democratic leader would stop there and go with the popular vote. So a group generally wanted to do X, then we would go with that. Well, that I don't think necessarily works out, because the people in your group might not always know what the stakeholders need, what the true issues within the company are, depending on where you're located in that organizational structure. So you do ultimately have to make a decision, and this is where you compare the pace-setter leadership style, which is very effective at achieving fast results. It focuses on performance, it sets high standards, it holds team members accountable. Why is this so great? And I'm not saying pace-setter is the only way to be. You can burn people out with it. But if you were to combine them with another style, let's just say you're a pace setter and you set very high standards with people. People come into your organization, know what's expected of them annually, every 3 months, whatever. They know what's expected of them and they go off and do it. Well, once you set the expectations once really well, people will go off and do those things, and you can be more democratic or more laissez-faire. That's another style we haven't covered, or more authoritative. You could be anything else, but once you have the standards, now people know what's expected of them, and you can go on doing other things. You have to level set some time and start other expectations, but you are going to get some really good results from that. And when paired with another style, you could also have some of the benefits of that style. So those are some of the main ones that I wanted to discuss that I see a lot of, where a little bit of a combination. First of all, know what you're trying to get at that moment. If your company is doing really well right now, you really don't need an authoritative leadership style. You really don't need it. You're stressing people out unnecessarily, and that can lead to turnover, lack of engagement, lack of results, things like that. But if things aren't going that well with meeting the goals, then being a coach isn't going to be enough. So being a servant leader might be. We can talk about that another time. That's also an interesting one. It's a little more goal-oriented than being a coach. So look within. Think about that's how I end every video, right? Think about what you're doing and if it's what you want to do, because what I really want to encourage people to do with SennSays is make choices and don't just go on with behavior that you think are your norm or the way things are done, whatever. Everyone knows I love change. I love change for the better. I love growth. Look within, make choices about your leadership style. And I can always do something on the other leadership styles if you're interested, but those are some of the ones that I see the most in our industries right now. Take care, enjoy leading. It's a privilege and an honor to do so, right? So let's do it well. Take care.